What's up, everybody? My name's Stephen Wright. I am joined by Mr. William Monroe, and we are the Trust Your Board podcast here to bring you waivers for championship week. Will, how you doing, man?
Steve, mixed bag here. Lost in 2 semifinals, it looks like. But alas, the one that we share together, we are moving on to the championship.
Yeah, we have upset I don't think he was officially the best team in the league, but second best team in the league, I believe it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was, by far viewed as the best team on paper going into the year. And,
Definitely.
Trailed off a bit at the end of the season, but overall, he pretty much dominated our division. So, yeah, it's nice to come out as the division champ, and we'll be playing friend of the show, Graham, here in the championship week this week.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm glad we pull off that win because we've been talking a little smack here in the past couple weeks, and it's good to back that up once in a while.
Yeah, two weeks in a row with 2 big wins against, I think, basically the 2 commissioners of the league, actually.
Yeah, that is correct. And then we go up against the defending champion, who I think was the best team in the league, right? From a record standpoint.
No, because I don't think he got the bye. The other person got the bye.
Ah, okay.
I mean, their division, they had 3 really, really good teams.
Yeah, they were stacked. We ended up in the weaker one.
But alas, we are here, and I thought it was interesting. Had you been able to pull off a victory here in our Vanguard League, you would have been playing against our current opponent in that league as well.
Yeah, so those who remember the show last week, I said I was starting David Carr.
Yeah.
And I don't think I need to explain what has transpired in that league.
Yeah, I think he got even less points than Derek Carr did.
Oh my God, jeez.
You might have been better off starting David Carr this week.
I probably would have. He had 2 points, so I think David still ended up with less. But
yeah.
Yeah, and even so, if he gave me an average week, I still would have lost because I was up against Hopkins and Henry and Calvin Ridley. It was a bad week. But yeah, it is what it is. I would have been close if Taylor Gabriel did something. But alas, he did not, and I didn't have the quarterback, so it is what it is.
And it looks like I'll be making it to the number 1 pick bowl in both of my leagues here as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so that'll be like, it's interesting that, we'll be focusing on our league, going for the title, but it's interesting to have, these side kind of play games that you have something weighted on.
Yeah, right? That makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's jump into waivers. Like we were saying before the show, definitely a more interesting one because there's no long-term ramifications as to the discussions today. It's, what do you need for 1 week? And that's it. So it's going to be an interesting conversation, I think.
Yeah, no Thursday games, but we got a Friday Christmas Day game, Vikings and Saints, which should be a pretty entertaining game.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
It'll either, it might just end up being a bloodbath, which is always fun when Drew Brees is involved. So that's cool.
I mean, who knows? Because the Vikings
exactly.
offense is pretty solid, and Michael Thomas is out now, right?
Yeah, they've been doing good. So it could be interesting in that regard as well. So either way, I think it's going to be a fun watch.
Yeah. Then we got 3 Saturday games. Tampa at Detroit, which should be at least, decent offensively. Imagine Matt Stafford can keep up. San Francisco and Arizona, always a good divisional rivalry. And then Miami at Vegas. So we got 4 games that you can kind of watch individually there before the craziness that is Week 16 Red Zone on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that rundown complete, let's go ahead and jump into running backs. Probably the biggest one on the list, Le'Veon Bell, 54% up against Atlanta. I would assume you're agreeing he's top on the list?
I think so. However, the only, I think, caveat is he did get injured, came back, and then left again right at the end of the game. So I think we got to monitor there. Yeah. I mean, in Clyde's done for the regular season. They're hoping to have him back by the NFL playoffs. So I think, if Bell plays, he is the guy. And, Atlanta proved they could put up some points without Julio this week. So if Julio comes back, you'd imagine this may be a game where there's going to have to be some points scored on both sides, and Lev Bell can be the benefactor there.
Yeah, at a thinner position like running back, that's definitely. I mean, we're at the end of the season. You're pretty much dumping your fab on anyone. But if you need a running back and a wide receiver, the priority goes to running back, right?
Agreed. I mean, obviously team makeup as well. But if everything is equal, running back is where you're going to go. And I think it's Lev Bell and potentially our next guy. I don't know that we're going to know much about him before, but Tony Pollard, Sunday morning savior for some people, being able to be plugged and played and had a heck of a game.
Yeah, and it's really disappointing looking and seeing he's rostered in 46% of leagues. If you are a Zeke owner, you should have been owning Tony Pollard from like 2 or 3 weeks before the playoffs began. Like he's a must own. There's not a lot of must own handcuffs out there, and he's one of them. So if he's available in your league and you got burned, it's sorry to say, but it's your own fault at that point.
Yeah, over 130 total yards, 12 carries, catches 6 of 9 targets, and he gets 2 touchdowns. So heck of a game against a pretty good San Francisco defense. So I would venture, going against the Eagles at home, this is a pretty much playing game for both of these teams. Losers definitely eliminated. The other one, I think, has a chance. So yeah, this should be a pretty good game for him. It's the only thing is I don't know that we'll know much about Zeke up until game day.
Yeah, and that's definitely the worry with Pollard. It's gonna be hard to rely on him because Zeke, he was a pretty last minute out this week, right? It was at least Sunday.
Yeah, I think it was Sunday morning that it came out.
So, as we've said with our players, if he's that close, then I would assume he's playing next week. But you never know. So again, you have to own him. And, if you're up against a Zeke owner, dump your entire fab and try to go for that block. If you just need a running back, take your shot. Pollard's a great guy to have, and he's got a pretty good matchup here. So he could definitely be a league winner this year.
Absolutely. Like you said, if there's not a ton out there and he's the only one there, I think, it's worth dumping it in because could be a league winner if Zeke is out. Probably not going to know till the weekend, but definitely something that I think is usable as we come to this championship weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we got Ahmed, only 34% rostered up against Vegas in that terrible rushing defense there. Another potential league winner if you need a running back, right?
Yeah, I mean, once again, going to come down to who's playing around him. It looks like there's a chance Myles Gaskin does come back. That could really mess this up, but if not, it seems like Ahmed is the guy they're using, easily. He is the number one. I mean, I know your boy Matt Breida got involved a little bit, but 23 carries, 122 yards for Ahmed, scores a touchdown, has 1 catch. So it's going to be, I think, all on if Gaskin comes back or not.
Yep, absolutely. He's a solid guy.
Yeah.
Sony Michel had a good week this week up against Buffalo, only 19% rostered for good reason. But he had a pretty solid week. I'm not sure if you want to be starting your Patriots in championship week. But do you have any interest there?
Yeah, I mean, 84 yards on only 11 touches is pretty solid. No score, but you hope that if he can get pounched one in the end zone, he'd be usable. Once again, this is going to come down to Damian Harris's availability. I mean, I don't think he was a surprise, but he was one that I don't think everyone was banking on being out until we got there. So if Harris is out, I think Sony's pretty solid against Buffalo. Now, note that if you like your sanity, this is a Monday night game, so I don't know how you feel about putting all of your chips potentially on needing Sony Michel to do something on Monday night. You may not know about Harris until closer to that too. But I think all of this highlights just how important Lev Bell is here too. With all these other guys having caveats, Lev Bell seems like he is, barring his own health, the far and away guy.
Yep, absolutely. And the final running back here, Ito Smith, only 3% owned against Kansas City. I believe it came out today that Gurley's role has changed and Ito is now the lead back.
Yeah.
Makes him interesting in that regard. Not someone I am too interested in playing in my championship game, though. Do you disagree?
No, I'm there with you. I mean, in emergency situation, I think he's going to get some usage, but it's just not a great matchup. And I mean, who knows? Maybe he gets some targets out of the backfield, being that you imagine Kansas City's going to score points. But yeah, I just don't know that I can trust him here in the championship week.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you might be forced to if you
Yeah,
are a Zeke owner that doesn't have Pollard or a Clyde Edwards-Helaire owner that doesn't have Bell. I mean, there's plenty of running backs that have gone down. You're a Damian Harris owner and Sony, well, he's probably out there, but if he's
yeah,
rostered for some reason, 3% means he's available almost everywhere, and it's an easy starter to pick up. Those don't grow on trees. So from that standpoint, he's a nice desperation play, but that's it. Don't expect any kind of league winning thing out of Ito, I don't think. So then we can go ahead and turn our attention to the wide receiver position.
yeah. Let's take a look here. First up, we've got Emmanuel Sanders looking to be taken over as the number one with Michael Thomas out for a few weeks. And just this week here against Minnesota, 56% rostered. What do you think about Emmanuel Sanders, Minnesota?
That's pretty solid. Minnesota's a good matchup. Available in a little bit less than 50%, but close to 50-50. That's pretty solid. And in your deeper leagues, like our league, where you can start potentially 4 wide receivers, that's gonna be a valuable guy to plug in there in one of those flex positions. So yeah, I would definitely be interested in Sanders there. I'm not sure I would be expecting like a huge game from him, but he should be able to put up some solid numbers for you, I would think.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that, out of the list here, probably the most plug and play just because of the targets that are going to open up with Michael Thomas out. And even so, Manuel had 5 or more targets in the last 3 games, so he's going to be in the game, in the passing game. You're probably just banking on hopefully getting a touchdown. Otherwise, you may be looking at 4 for 60, 4 for 70, which is okay, but you're hoping that he's going to be one of the beneficiaries of a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one, he's definitely been on the waivers a lot this year. Russell Gage came through for people last week, 24% rostered against Kansas City. Kind of in that same mold where he needs that touchdown. He could easily catch 4 passes for like 24 yards and that's it. So definitely a bit of a gamble. But do you like Gage this week?
Yeah, I mean, he had a heck of a game this most recent week. 10 targets, 5 catches, 68 yards. He scored. But even without the touchdown, he's hovering right around 10.5-point league. So I think he's definitely usable. It's going to come down to Julio, too.
Yep.
Although
Absolutely.
Gage has had some games with Julio there. I mean, he's over, in a half-point league here. He's over 10 points 3 straight weeks. I know he had the passing touchdown the 1 week. So he had a little strangeness there. But even without that passing touchdown, they were still over 10. So I think he's a guy that in an emergency you can plug and play, and I probably play him over most of these guys outside of Sanders here, just because of what I imagine the game is going to look like between Atlanta and Kansas City.
Yes, that is fair. Then we got a couple guys in a row with some just fantastic matchups here. Rashad Higgins, 25% owned at the Jets. Alan Lazard, 32% versus the Titans. Mooney, 10% against Jacksonville. What do you think of those 3 there?
Yeah, I think Higgins is really interesting, and I know you and I are pretty high on Baker this week, hoping, I don't know if we locked it in, but likely going to be our championship week quarterback, and it's going to, need another big game out of Higgins, and Higgins has been producing the last few weeks. Looking at 5+ targets each week in these last 3. So he's been proved to be a viable option in the offense. Against the Jets, I do worry a bit that maybe it just ends up being a running game and they just run him over. Obviously, Jets look a little better this week, finally getting a win, but I'm still not sold there. I think this is probably just a blowout for the Browns. So you run the risk of maybe passing volume not being as high this week.
Remind me, who has Nick Chubb in our championship matchup?
We do, actually.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's awesome.
It helps us out.
It does. It's we've been riding him into these playoffs, and he's been a huge part of the team for sure. What do you think of Lazard and Mooney?
Iffy on both. I think they both are, second, third fiddles in the passing game, if not less with the running backs being involved. So both decent shots. I guess if anything, Lazard's probably the best shot because game script works in his favor the most. But Higgins, Lazard, Mooney are all kind of iffy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Out of the three, I'll take my shot on Higgins. But Lazard and Mooney are fine if you're in that kind of desperation mode.
Yeah.
They're fine. Two other good matchups, Hansen against Cincinnati and Greg Ward against Dallas, 2 and 3% owned respectively. What do you think of those two?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were high on Hansen this week, and he scored, but only 2 catches, 3 targets. I think maybe, obviously the big play helped, but the volume that we were anticipating didn't really materialize. So that's a little bit of a concern. Now against Cincinnati, maybe you don't have to throw it as much either. So a little bit of worry there. But, I mean, he's probably right there with the other guys there. Ward is interesting because he looked like the clear and away favorite target for, in the receiving game. I mean, they manufactured some touches for Rager, but it was clear that Hurts trusted him, and he had a couple of nice anticipation throws as well. So put it to where he knew where it was going to be. So I think Ward is a sneaky shot play, in this kind of bunch of receivers that we're talking about here outside of Sanders and Gage.
Yeah, neither of them are that bad. Hansen was definitely, he came through because of that touchdown. But boy, if you didn't get that touchdown, you were burned. And that would have been that classic kind of 2 big games that you plug them in your lineup and you get burned on the third. Happens all the time with people. Still pretty solid. Greg Ward, it comes down to quarterback play. I trust Watson more than I trust Ward. Now, I've seen some talk about whether Watson's going to play the rest of the season, maybe just shut him down.
There's a couple of players I think that were worried about that. Maybe Julio, but I don't know.
Why? I mean, and it comes down, I remember us talking about it weeks ago about CMC. Why would you bring him back? You're not playing for anything. Just let him rest the rest of the year and come back next year. So, and
try to tell him that though, right?
I know, right? It's difficult. And I get that, but it's the same thing when you have a star like a Julio or like a Watson, your franchise depends on, and, heaven forbid you tear your ACL in the last game of the season for literally no reason at all, and you have a slow start next year, or, you're down the entire year because, it's a long recovery process. Exactly. Yep. But with that in mind, I wouldn't want to rely on either of these two, but I would take Hansen because I trust the quarterback play a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I think both are, probably not the best plays here in this championship week, but I think I would lean Ward a little bit more just because I imagine this, a closer game there. You're going to have to throw the ball on both sides, Dallas and Philly.
Yep, that's fair. Let's talk about some tight ends, Will. Let's say you are, you've been streaming the position all year and you have to pick one for the championship week. You can choose from Kmet at Jacksonville, Hooper at the Jets, Eifert versus the Bears, or Jordan Reed at Arizona. Who do you want?
Yeah, it's interesting. Hooper recently has looked better, so it's been surprising to see him get going. Eifert has been, in the getting some volume, but I think, just like we always see with the tight end position, you got to go upside. You're looking for big play, and that's Cole Kmet. Obviously, had a dead game this week, just 2 for 12. But against Jacksonville, I'm gonna, play the upside of a guy that has had 14 targets in total the last 2 weeks. Comes down with only 2 this week. I'll go with the big play and hopefully a touchdown out of the tight end there with Cole Kmet.
Yeah, I think you can make a case for Hooper also being a big play.
Yeah.
Against the Jets, it's not a big play like he's going to have 80 yards and a touchdown, but 40 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Jets. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, but it is between the two. Hooper is almost 50% rostered as well, which makes him much more difficult to pass up. So I'll just throw his name out there. I'm cool with Kmet as an upside play. I'm cool with Hooper as well. If you'd rather play a safer route, I guess it would be Jordan Reed for a volume standpoint. I think he probably gets more volume than anyone here. And I guess like Komet, like you said, has been getting a lot of targets, but Reed has been doing more with his targets. I guess that's where I'm coming from. So I guess if you want a floor, it's probably Reed. But like you said, I agree. I'm looking for upside. So Komet or Hooper for me.
Yeah. All right. We'll take a look at some streaming quarterbacks here for this championship week. I've got a couple of interesting options, Steve. Got Jalen Hurts against Dallas, Baker Mayfield against the Jets, Andy Dalton against the Eagles. Your boy Matt Stafford's got Tampa, but he's proven to be a warrior playing every week, man. And then Tua Tagovailoa at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Man, quick side note: there's been a lot of talk of Stafford moving on after this year.
Yeah.
Which I also find stupid because they don't have a coach, they don't have a GM, and I believe the owner said they're going to leave it up to the new regime to decide what to do with Stafford. So I don't know where these rumors are coming from, but man, if he could land in San Francisco, I'd be the happiest man on the planet.
I can only imagine, man. He seems like a perfect quarterback that has played half, maybe a little more of his career already, and he's proven to be just a great player. And then he'll be able to just end up in a nice situation that is a quarterback away. And you got another 5+ out of him.
Yeah, he deserves it. He's a player that even like Packers fans and Bears fans are like, yeah, it'd be really nice if you left our division and went and had a nice run somewhere else.
Yeah,
he deserves it after putting up with what he's put up with. But with that in mind, I ain't trusting him this week. With the injuries, he's got a solid defense in Tampa Bay. He's 54% rostered, so that's going to be a tougher get. So I'm not super interested in him. Dalton against Philly, I don't really want any parts of. Tua against Vegas could be solid, but I'd rather not rely on Tua.
Yeah, who knows about the weapons that'll be there in Miami too.
Yeah, I saw someone on Reddit, I think it was Reddit, maybe he pulled it off Twitter, called him Tua turn the ball over. Throwing interceptions, like, okay, that's fair. So it comes down to Hurts and Mayfield. It's hard to turn down Mayfield against the Jets. It really is. Like you said, I do worry that it could end up being the Nick Chubb game, and Mayfield's 250 and a touchdown, and that's it. And Nick Chubb has like 3 touchdowns. So I think that's in the realm of possibility where Jalen Hurts, his floor is solid. So I would say if you want upside, I think Mayfield has the upside because he's got a 4 touchdown game in him. If you want a solid floor, I would go with Jalen Hurts. At the end of the day, if we're championship game, I'm going for upside. So I'll take Baker. How about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Hurts. I mean, he's looked great against 2, relatively decent defenses. New Orleans is one of the best in the league, and then Arizona's solid. Dallas' defense has been bad this year. And, I mean, it's a divisional game. I don't think it can happen. He's on the road, but I'll take Hurts. I'll take the rushing upside, stay in the flames there.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Solid pick. Finally, Will, again, streaming defenses here. We have the Bears at Jacksonville. 64% owned. Tougher to get that one. The Bucks at Detroit. Texans versus Cincinnati. Washington versus Carolina. The Eagles at Dallas. And the Chargers versus Denver. Who are you relying on?
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, Bears and Bucks, I think, are the solid options. If you can get either of them, Bears probably is your number one. Bucks solid against Detroit as well, but if you're looking at the other ones, I mean, man, that Cincy matchup is appetizing, but the Texans, I don't know if you can trust them. Something about that Chargers-Denver matchup is sneaky for me, though.
Yeah,
if I've got to pick one of the lower ones here, I think I'd go Chargers-Denver.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's obvious for me too. Like the Bears are the pick, but 64% roster is tough to get by. I kind of lean towards Washington. They've been a solid defense.
Yeah.
You could definitely get some defensive points against Carolina. It's definitely a risky play because Carolina's offense is pretty good, and they could definitely put up a lot of points, and you could end up with one of them, 6-point defensive games. But I think I'd place my bet on Washington. I'm not confident in a lot of these people.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I think it's a solid option.
It is. So that's going to wrap up our waiver show here. Will, any closing thoughts before we close out the show?
Yeah, good luck, everyone, in our last waiver show here. We'll be chit-chatting with you guys pretty soon about the start sits for this final week, but hopefully everyone has, at least a team or two in the championship, depending on how many leagues you're in. And good luck, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck. Tune in later this week for our start sit episode. Until then, trust your board.